The Philadelphia Phillies were off on Thursday after that series victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers out there in LA, and a huge series really for the National League playoff implications. They begin a 3-game road series here on Friday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is going to be their last road series of the regular season. There's just 3 more series left of the regular season, 9 more games. This series will not come easy at all for the Phillies. The Diamondbacks are fighting for one of those final National League wildcard spots. They're just 2 games or so out of it from a wildcard spot, so they are fighting for their playoff lives, while the Phillies already obviously have the National League East clinched and are well on their way for a first round bye. If they want to keep trying to move up for that top seed, they're going to have to play their best baseball, because the Diamondbacks definitely will be playing their best brand of baseball in this series. Taijuan Walker is scheduled to start here tonight. Welcome to Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Speaking of the playoffs, who should be in the Phillies playoff rotation? Now, early in the playoffs, usually in the wildcard round and divisional round, a lot of teams opt for a 3-man rotation simply because it is not a long 7-game series. So you want your better starters out there. Sometimes it doesn't even go that far enough, depending on if you get swept or not. But if it does come down to a game 4 or even a game 5, you want one of your better pitchers still on the mound. So a lot of the time you see that 3-man rotation. The Phillies have to make a decision, obviously, in the NLDS. That is not a 7-game series. We saw that last year when they played the Mets and lost in 4 games. But if you move on to the NLCS and even the World Series, that is a 7-game playoff format, which means usually teams go back to a, not back to, but go to a 4-man rotation as opposed to 3 or 5. Right now, the Phillies have 5 starters that could pitch in the playoffs. Really, they have 6, 7 guys that could play as well, could pitch for them. But the main one is, will Aaron Nola be in the Phillies starting playoff rotation? A lot of people are talking about it. He's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. He's been one of the best pitchers in Phillies history. He's had a lot of great moments, but this year in 2025, just not Aaron Nola's year. Before he missed some time for a few months there with a couple of injuries. Wasn't that great early in the season. Hasn't been that great here since coming back from the IL. Had a few good starts, but really nothing terrific out of Aaron Nola. So that raises a lot of questions. Do the Phillies use him as a starter in the playoffs or opt for him as a bullpen role, something he's never done before? Only time will tell. The Phillies obviously have Christopher Sanchez as their top guy. Ranger Suarez should be right there as the next guy. And then it's really between Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola. Jesus Luzardo started off the season incredible, hit some bumps in the middle of the season, and now he's been pitching pretty good as of late for the Phillies down the stretch here, while again Aaron Nola just not having a great season for the Phillies in the starting rotation. So that 3rd spot / 4th spot, depending on what series we're talking about, if the Phillies get past the NLDS, it's really between Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola. Something to keep an eye on as we head into October and into the playoffs right now, but it is a big topic of discussion for what the Phillies and Rob Thompson, their manager, will decide to do come that NLDS series between whoever the Phillies end up playing. Staying on the same topic of the playoffs, do the Phillies rest some of their guys here in these final 3 series, these final 9 games of the regular season, or do they go for it all and try to get that 1 seed over the Milwaukee Brewers? The Milwaukee Brewers have a couple game lead over the Phillies. Nothing too crazy the Phillies can't overcome, but with just 9 games left in their season, they're like 2-3 games back behind the Brewers about. It's really kind of unlikely that they're going to jump the Brewers because of that. Just 9 games. The Phillies really have to win most of their games and hope the Brewers lose most of their games here to end the season. As I said before, Phillies are pretty much locked into that number 2 seed, especially after that series win of the Dodgers, who are right behind them, a few games back, 5 or 6 games behind the Phillies for that number 2 seed. So you do have a first round bye with that number 2 seed. You could go for the 1 seed again. Unlikely. It seems like they want to do that the way Rob Thompson and the players are talking about, but still a little bit unlikely. Rob Thompson did mention that he probably will in this series against the Diamondbacks kind of rest, especially some of the outfielders. He mentioned playing on the turf in Arizona. He wants to try to get them off their feet. So that kind of plays into the factor of resting some guys. We'll see if he does that with some of these other players, these key players, throughout this rest of these 9 games, these last 3 series of the regular season. They do go back home for the final 2 series of the season, so not playing on turf or anything like that at Citizen Bank Park. So depends on what's going to happen here. We'll see. We'll probably get an indication this series alone here at the Diamondbacks. If they lose a game or 2, then they're probably just going to go for that number 2 seed, which they already have, and kind of just put that number 1 seed just out of their sights, because again, it's kind of unlikely that they will jump the Brewers. But also, it's another thing to talk about here as we head into these last couple of games, this last week or so of the regular season. Just like we're talking about the playoff rotation with Aaron Nola, Jesus Luzardo, who gets that spot? Do both of them get that spot? We'll see what happens for all this. Just stuff to talk about since there was no game to talk about yesterday with that off day. And then another topic that is pretty significant right now. It's a significant award in Major League Baseball, a significant award in all of sports, is the MVP, the most valuable player. Kyle Schwarber has been having an incredible season for the Phillies, really a historic season for the Schwarberian, but Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers, he is just a phenom, one of the best players of his generation that we've really ever seen at Major League Baseball. Between his offensive ability, his pitching ability, he is just insane to watch, physically gifted, talented, just incredible there for Ohtani. It's really between those two guys for the National League MVP award here in 2025. Kyle Schwarber got real close at one point, kind of cooled off some, but it's really unlikely that he jumps Shohei Ohtani in that category as well. Shohei Ohtani is the betting favorite. He's really the significant favorite to win the MVP award. He has a couple in the American League. I believe he won one already in the National League as well. He was with the Angels for the start of his career, now with the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, favorite over Kyle Schwarber. But Kyle Schwarber is second place right now, the runner-up for the award. Again, just having an incredible season. Comparing their stats here, Shohei Ohtani has a .282 batting average, .394 on-base percentage, .614 slugging, a 1.008 OPS, 22 doubles, 8 triples, 51 home runs, 95 RBIs, 105 walks, and 19 stolen bases. That was entering Thursday night. They played Thursday night at 10 o'clock-ish again out there on the West Coast, so I didn't factor in those stats, especially since Kyle Schwarber is off today, or yesterday, I mean. Kyle Schwarber, his stats up until this point of the season, he has a .243 batting average, so a lot lower than Shohei Ohtani's, a .370 on base, a little bit lower than Ohtani, .567 slugging, again, a little bit lower than Ohtani, .937 OPS, lower than Ohtani, 21 doubles, 1 less than Ohtani, 2 triples, 6 less, 53 home runs, 2 more than Shohei Ohtani, 128 RBIs, so significantly more RBIs than Ohtani, 104 walks, very comparative, but 1 less than Shohei Ohtani, and 10 stolen bases, 9 less than Ohtani. Neither of them really are that speedy of a guys, so that's really not crazy that neither of them have that many stolen bases. But again, Kyle Schwarber, very good, historic, incredible season for him, but Shohei Ohtani really just a little bit better than him in most categories. So that award is likely going to go to Shohei Ohtani yet again, but that doesn't discredit Kyle Schwarber for the incredible season he's had both personally and for the Phillies as a franchise and as a team. He's one of the main reasons that they won the National League East, one of the main reasons that they have a great shot at winning their first World Series championship since 2008. Now, we did see those two MVP caliber players, those top two guys in the MVP race, go up against each other this past series when the Phillies were out in LA and won that series 2-1 over the Dodgers. Ohtani was 4 for 12 in that series with a double, 2 home runs, and 2 RBIs, while Kyle Schwarber was 2 for 11 with a home run and an RBI in that 3-game series. So Ohtani, a little bit better series than Kyle Schwarber had, but the Phillies overall won that series, which is all we really care about and really all that Kyle Schwarber cares about as well. It's also worth noting Ohtani pitched in that series, and he threw 5 no-hit innings with 5 strikeouts against the Phillies. So just a very good series for him, per usual, an incredible player, an incredible season, and he's most likely going to be the 2025 National League MVP over Kyle Schwarber, unfortunately. Now, getting into a little bit of the game for tonight here on Friday, the series opener against the Arizona Diamondbacks out there in the West. The Phillies are scheduling to start Taijuan Walker to begin that ball game. However, Walker Buehler is expected to kind of piggyback off of Taijuan Walker in that ball game for a middle relief appearance and see how long he goes, a long man there, depending on, I guess, how Taijuan Walker looks to start that ball game. But it's expected to go Taijuan Walker, then Walker Buehler out of the bullpen. Now, clearly, Walker Buehler will not be in the starting rotation for the Phillies in the playoffs. He was picked up just a few weeks ago, hadn't had a great year in the Red Sox starting rotation. He did have a solid start for the Phillies, but most likely, well, not most likely, he's not going to be in the Phillies starting rotation come playoff time. As I said earlier, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo, and Aaron Nola will be those guys for sure, depending if the Phillies are using a 3-man or a 4-man, depending on the series that they are in. But Walker Buehler could be an intriguing guy out of the bullpen. He has mostly been a starter throughout his major league career. He's appeared in 155 career games, making 145 starts. So pretty much every single time he's been on the field pitching, he has been a starting pitcher. He had closed out the World Series last year with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Came in there, big moment against the Yankees, shut down the Yankees offense at the end of the game, the bottom of the order, and closed out that World Series out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. So he does have experience there in a high leverage late inning role. Obviously can't get any more high leverage than the final inning of a World Series against a very good New York Yankees team. And he did just that, got the victory, and helped the Dodgers win the World Series last year. He's also pitched out of the bullpen a little bit here in 2025 and a couple other times throughout his career. In fact, his first year in Major League Baseball, he played in 8 games, and all 8 of those games were out of the bullpen. So most of his bullpen experiences were his very first year in 2017 with the Dodgers. Again, 155 career games, 145 career starts. That is not including the postseason, but he does have experience in the bullpen in the postseason. So obviously, that will be his role with the Phillies not being in their playoff starting rotation again. Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, the top 2 guys for the Phillies with Zach Wheeler out. And then Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola, the next guys up as well in the starting rotation. Another thing to look at, but the Phillies are testing Walker Buehler out in the bullpen starting tonight here after Taijuan Walker is lifted from the game at whatever point in that ball game that is, and we'll see how he looks coming out of the bullpen and if that is going to be a good move for them moving forward into October, into the playoffs. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Off yesterday, first game of this 3-game road series against the Diamondbacks. Again, Diamondbacks fighting for their playoff lives. Phillies still trying to attempt to go for that 1 seed for home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they end up resting some guys like Rob Thompson. I mentioned maybe giving the outfielders some time off here and platooning them around. So we'll see again what happens. But again, thank you guys for watching. And as always, go Phils.